Yo, what's going on guys? Today is going to be a quick video. Now, a few weeks ago I made this video where I tried to learn 3 new mechanics in 1 week. And one of the shots I was going for was this flick. Now, the flick doesn't really have a name. I put it up on social media to check and a bunch of people had said it had been around for a few years, but no one had really named it. It's just one of those things that people kind of knew was around, but no one was really going for. Some people had called it the real flick after a freestyler who used it. Some people called it the Thanovic after my video, but the point is, today I'm going to show it and try break it down for you guys in a little tutorial. It's not too hard to explain, but pretty difficult to get all the timing right, so this is going to take some practice. As you can see, my controller is in the bottom right if you want to follow along with that, but essentially, what you're trying to do with this flick is tornado spinning and trying to pop the ball up with the front corner of your car, then letting your car rotate until it's the right way up while also moving slightly away from the ball, then flicking back into it, trying to catch the ball with the underside of your car. Now, depending where you contact the ball, it's going to do different things. If you catch cleanly, you can move it into a flip reset. If you flick the nose of your car forward so it comes up and under the ball, you can move it into an air dribble. And if you catch it in the perfect spot off one of the wheels, you can generate some crazy power. So, straight away, start with the ball on your roof, slightly forward on the car, as you're going to need some momentum going forward. Next, the tornado spin. For those of you who don't know, in order to tornado spin, you just need to have a directional air roll bound. So if you have air roll left, you hold air roll left and push the analog stick to the right. Now if you use air roll right, you push the stick to the left. That part is pretty simple. Now you're trying to time it so that the rotation of the car clips the ball on the way up using the front corner. There's not really a way to explain how to do this. As you can see in front here, it's kind of just flicking on the way up. But as you hold your analog stick to the side, either left or right depending on your directional air roll, you can also try moving the analog stick up as it's turning so that the nose slightly raises during the motion. The tornado motion is fluid, so after a little bit of training, you should get the little lift up motion pretty easily. From here, you are continuing the movement of the tornado spin so that your car evens itself out, which just means so that the wheels are facing the ground. This movement should also move you a little bit away from the car. Once again, not hard to do, just continue the motion of the tornado spin. Now the hardest part of this, the flip. This part is difficult because it is entirely dependent on how the ball has lifted during the first part and whether or not it has lifted high enough to give you space to flip underneath it. On top of that, it depends on what kind of shot you're going for. If you're trying to go for the flip reset, you'll want to flip back underneath the ball and then cancel your flip so the underside of your car stays facing the ball for a longer period of time. Once again, fully dependent on how the ball is lifted, but this is more than likely going to be a diagonal front flip cancel. And so, you would diagonally flip, then pull back on the analog stick to cancel it as the ball sits under the car. Sounds kind of complicated, is kind of complicated. It's one of those things you got to try over and over again. The hardest part about it though is trying to get this into an air dribble. I've only been able to do it once or twice, but you're essentially doing the same kind of cancel, except you're going for what I believe is called a twist flip. You're flipping your car so that the nose pops up at the end of the flick, and you end up carrying the ball. This one is really hard to explain, but I'll give it a go. You want to diagonal front flip cancel, then push the analog stick back up again. So diagonal front flip, cancel by pulling back on the analog stick for a second, and then flick it back up again. If done correctly, it should look like a little bit of a delayed flick that pops up the front end of your car and can result in the air dribble carry. I do apologize, I wish I could give better of an example or just explain it a little bit better, but I believe it's called the twist flick. It's like a diagonal front flip cancel, I think, if that's the one I'm thinking of. Lastly is the one that gives power. You already know how to do this part because it's basically the same motion as the last two. You want to just diagonal front flip cancel, but instead of trying to catch it for a flip reset, you are aiming for the ball to connect with the front wheel that is facing the goal. There is something about this underside section of the car that can cause a crazy amount of power out of nowhere, but Once again, unfortunately, it's one of those things we have to attempt over and over again to see if you can hit the sweet spot on the car. But bear in mind the entire time you are going, you are trying to clip the front end of the tire. I'm not sure if it's a kind of pinch or if it's just the way the tire is built. I don't know how it works. It just gives massive power sometimes. And of course, you can just use the flip to connect with the front end of your car for a fancier looking flip, as one of the benefits of this flick is that you look like you have zero control over the ball because of the tornado motion sending your car off to the side. So flipping back underneath it and catching it again can catch opponents off guard. Whatever way you use it, it's just a fun little flick I found while messing around, and then after further research, found out it had been around for a while, and so I'm sure at some point in the future, people will have mastered it and will be getting some incredibly powerful shots with it. But that is it for today. Just a quick one because it's not too hard to explain, but might take a decent amount of practice to get down. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope it seriously helps some of you who've been asking for the tutorial. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. That's all from me, and I'll see you next time.